It's blowing everything away. Got a lot of power in this plane.
Okay, full speed pass.
And welcome to the Philip Cockrum channel, viewers. Please like, subscribe, share, and comments. It helps this channel grow and it helps me bring you these great videos that we all love. So on today's show, we've got another unboxing, assembly, and pre-flight test of the beautiful E-Flite Cirrus SR22T 1.5 meter bind and fly aircraft. This is the older version of this plane. E-Flite re-released it this year. It's now red and it has a 70 amp speed control as opposed to the 40 amp speed control that's in this one. Just a little quick look at the box for you. The usual nice pictures on there. There's some specs for some people. It's got a bunch of different language things on there. So let's pull it out of the box and see what we get. Okay, here we go. So this is a tiny little box for a 1.5 meter plane, but you'll see how it's packed in here. It's really wedged in here good. And there's stuff on both sides of this carton. So we're going to open up this side here first because I think this is the bottom, but not 100% sure. So let's see what we got. I can see the spars here already. I'm guessing that's for the tail, the little one here, carbon fiber bar, and that's for the wing there. Throw them on the ground. Let's cut this little cardboard thing out. That's not coming out. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so first up, looks like we've got our rear elevators here. You can see it's got some nice reinforcement in it. It's got proper hinges pressed into the thing. It's got some plastic reinforcement there. You can see our circle horns already installed there. So looks like those are going to go on the plane and go together like that. It's got some cool, there's a little bit of reinforcement up here too on these little wingtips there. And what else we got here? We've got our motor, or sorry, our prop, spinner and stuff. It's all like kind of pre-assembled here for you. I guess to make it easier to package, right? But it's got a beautiful prop, some nice painted tips on there. It's your spinner, and there's our prop adapters already in there. Looks like we've got one wheel here. Pretty sure that's the front wheel there. It does have a steerable nose wheel on it. And there's one of the back wheels. You can see there. Got really nice wheel pants on it. It's got a, it's metal, but it's got plastic wrapped around it there, so you can see the metal there. The axle's metal in it too. It's just got kind of a plastic housing wrapped around it. And I think that's it for this side. Oh, we got our little hardware bag here. So there's got some of the screws for the assembly, and there's a few antennas and some steps, I think, and stuff like that that can go on this plane if you so desire. And that looks like it for that side of the box. So I would call that the bottom. And let's get to the top of the box here. Let's just get that off and out of the way. So we've got our handy dandy instruction booklet. We've got one of our wings here. It's actually wrapped in, not really a bag, it's kind of wrapped in just plastic here. There we go. Everything's pre-installed on there. It's got a nice coating on it there too. So this plane does have full flaps on it there, as you can see. It's got a cool easy connection thing on the wing, and this is plastic reinforced, this area all here. It's a couple of markings, I think fuel tank thing and stuff there. It's got the servos nicely hidden inside there, inside these little cavities, and it's got some lights on there that we'll see going in a few minutes. really nicely packaged, this plane. Done a good job. Little pieces. Well, there's our other wing. And the wings themselves here off the plane really don't look all that big to you. It's quite a taper to these wings, as you can see. This part up here is what they call the chord of the wing, is how wide the wing is here. And as you can see, it's fairly standard up here where it meets the fuselage, but it goes to quite a tip here on this plane. So, a second wing, again, it's got some decals already applied to it. Everything's pre-installed. We've got our connectors. And it looks like there's our second landing gear. You can see, same as the first side. And here's our piece de resistance, our fuselage. Pulling the front up first. That's a lot easier. Pull the front out first and then the tail. And that's it for our box. Yes, that's it for our box. Boom, sorry. Okay, here we go. Oh, we got a little bit of tape here on the end. There's our beautiful fuselage. Look at that thing. Lots of detail to this plane. It is an officially licensed scale model of the Cirrus SR22T. And I think we've got a little, does this come off it? We just pull up here. Yeah. So if you pull up on the little door handles here, it lifts the hatch up. You can see our hatch there a little bit closer. You can actually see right inside here. You can see the cockpit and stuff there. There's room for a co-pilot to be installed in there. Another small difference between this one and the new one, I noticed the new one has 4 magnets here instead of just the, or sorry, 8 magnets instead of just the 4 that you see here. So maybe they found that this was coming off a little too easy, I don't know. And there's the inside of our plane. It's very spacious inside there, as you can see. Lots of room to be able to get at everything. There's the bottom here. So that's about it. Not a whole lot of pieces here, so let's get the assembly going. Okay, we've taken a quick look through the instructions here. It looks like they want us to start with the nose gear first. You're going to need a few things to assemble this plane. A couple of sizes of Phillips screwdrivers. You're going to need a 1/2-inch wrench to tighten up the prop, and maybe a pair of needle nose to help fish in this nose gear. So as you can see, the front cowling comes off too, and it's just magnetically sealed, okay, like the hatches. So you're just going to pop it off carefully, and it gives us access to where we're going to put our nose wheel through. So the first thing they want you to do is install this little servo horn. Okay, if you look at the diagram, it only goes one way, so the brass part that's exposed is going to go down. That screw should be to the back, so it's going to be connected to this rod here where my finger is. So connect it onto the rod first, and then set it in there, and then push your nose wheel up through and tighten it up. Then the rear landing gear is a little bit simpler. It's just going into these slots here, like that, 2 sides, and you're going to put 4 screws in these little indentations in the foam. There's another hole here, but that's where you're going to put a screw through for the wing as well. So you're going to leave that one open. So let's start with that nose wheel. Okay, the landing gear is assembled just fine. I set the wheel in there and I put it down in my stand like this, so it was kind of holding the wheel straight and steady. And you do want to fish that horn onto the connecting rod first before you slide it through in there, and then you can tighten up that screw. There's a flat spot that's going to be on that nose gear that you want to make sure that you tighten up on. And then for adjustment, and you're going to need to access this probably anyway later, you can adjust these servos with this little hatch. This little hatch is magnetically sealed on there too, and you can get access to your servos and adjust them there. So let's move on to the tail assembly. Okay, so the tail really couldn't be easier. It's very standard installation here. You've got your rod that you're going to put in. It's a little bit of a snug fit on this guy, but that's okay. And slide that into the plane. And put your other side on. Let's line up those little plastic pieces that go together. And that's it. So it takes two 10mm screws you're going to put in through the bottom here to hold these on. That's it. On to the wings. So there's quite a few things to line up here on the wings, as you can see. We've got our little kind of locator pins, we've got our plug for our connections, we've got a little plastic slot here that's going to line up on a slot there, and a couple of things for the little tabs of where the wings are going to go through. So, you know, I've already put the spar through the middle of the plane, and so you just want to be careful as you line this stuff up, and then you're going to use the other 4 remaining button head machine screws to screw these on. So let's try it out. Okay, the wing slid on just perfectly, no problem. Just be careful to line everything up before you push it in, and you put your 2 screws in. That's about it. Let's do the other side. Okay, our wings are bolted in. So just a little note of assembly. This side went on just fine. I just pushed it in and the screws lined up just fine. This side needed quite a bit of pressure to put on it, so it was easier to put one screw up at the front, line that up, and then push, and I kind of like wedged the wing against the body to push in the back to line that one up. But it's all good now and all fully assembled. Okay, our radio model is going to be EFL 595 1.5 MB, it says on the list. When you click on that, it'll say Cirrus SR22T SPM, and you're going to import model. And that's it. There's the model. Okay, the plane bound up just fine. No problems. I plugged the bind plug into the receiver, then plugged the battery in, then immediately removed the bind plug. It went into safe mode. The surfaces went over twice. Then I bound the radio to it, and everything seems to be working. We've got left, right, up and down, left, right on a rudder. The alignment actually looks pretty good, so I don't think I'm going to have to adjust those rods. Throttle cut seems to be programmed in, so I don't have the prop on yet, but we've got no throttle. So it's just, I just have to reverse the flap switch because it's backwards to how I like it. So it does work just fine, it's just working backwards. So mine, I usually have no flaps with it up and full flaps with it down, so I'm just going to reverse this switch. So let's throw a popper on it and put the canopy in that back on it, and we'll see what it sounds like. Okay, just a little quick assembly tip. You're going to want to put this cowling on first before you assemble your prop, because it's got a couple of little locator pins here on it that have some little holes down here in the front that has to go on. So it has to go in like this, even though it's magnetically mounted. Okay, we're all finished. Everything assembled just nicely. We've centered out our control surfaces. I did make a couple of adjustments in that little hatch that's on the bottom to flatten out the elevator, and I tweaked the rudder. I reversed the flap switch to get them how I like them. I programmed the gear switch for my safe selects, so it's off right now, and then it's on, and it's off. Throttle cut was already programmed in. About 15% throttle. It sounds great. It looks great. There's even a little light in the interior, as you can see. It's got that front nose wheel light and the navigation lights on it. It looks awesome. So only 2 minor complaints about this plane. The wiring inside there needs to be cleaned up, and even if you don't care about it being messy, I suggest that you do that, because it's too easy to knock out a wire or a connection loose putting the battery in and out of it. So, and then it's got these stupid little snap-on control links on the rod ends here, which I don't like. I like the more the clevis style on there. So again, just minor little things, but the plane looks fantastic. It's pretty hard to get it in the whole shot here because it's so big. It's a beautiful plane. Can't wait for the maiden flight. Hopefully that's in a few days. So love and peace from Canada. And we are YouTube.